30 minutes, we invite you to be part of the conversation by calling 219-362-0522. And you can now text your questions to the Liquor Vault on-air line or by email to soundoff@967theeagle.com. This is a topic-based program, and we ask that you keep your comments brief, concise, and related to the topic being discussed. The views expressed on Sound Off are those of the host or callers and do not represent the opinion of 96.7 The Eagle, Spoon River Media LLC, or the sponsors. The Liquor Vault on-air line is now open for your calls or texts at 219-362-0522. This is Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
Hello, friends. Today is Friday, February 4th, and you are listening to Sound Off only on 96.7 The Eagle. My name is Nate Laux. We are going to have a conversation with two local men, a firefighter, a policeman, and a radio host walk into a studio, and they're going to have a conversation on this local lit tax. I want to also update you on something that we talked about on the show, I think on Monday, about the education bill. I did reach out to the local education union here in LaPorte, and I did get a response back. I invited them onto the show if they want to come and talk about that education bill. But they responded, at this point, we respectfully declined to talk about various Indiana proposed bills. And so if they do want to come on and talk about that or whatever, they always have an open invite to come to the show. But for now, it sounds like they are just standing on the sidelines of that one. So we've got Matt Drangmeister, Mike Mulcrone. Hi, guys. Welcome. How are you?
Hey, doing good. Thank you.
Good. Hey, so Matt, tell me, you are a police officer. You are a crime fighter for a living. What is your title with the police?
I'm the LaPorte FOP Lodge 54 president. Work in the detective bureau now. Been there for about 14 years.
Nice. Mike, other than, having a wonderful firefighter mustache, what is your title?
I'm the LaPorte Fire Department Union President, Local 363, and I'm just a regular old firefighter.
Hey, there are no regular old firefighters except Zach Caney. Okay?
Amen.
So glad to have you on the show today, guys. And, there's been this movement here locally to talk about a local income tax, and particularly to help, take care of our first responders, our police and our fire, our EMTs. A lot of them are leaving the community to go work at other places. And, it's funny because I'm sure you guys get this often. You guys are talked a lot about, but you're not necessarily talked a lot to, right? So a lot of people mention police, a lot of people mention fire, but not a lot of people are bringing you necessarily into the conversation to have these kind of how things are impacting you. And so we wanted to do that today. If you have a question, the Liquor Vault on-air line is 219-362-0522. I know you do have a statement, though, that you wanted to read on behalf of the union. So if you want to go ahead and read that, Matt, you can start there.
So basically, I want to start off by saying the interest in starting a career as a police officer with today's rhetoric towards the police department is diminishing. Less people are applying. When I applied 13 or 14 years ago, there was 30 people in the process. Now we're lucky to get 8 or 9 to apply, and most of those wash out. So we have less people applying. And same with Michigan City Police Department, LaPorte County, and Sheriff's Office as well. They've seen the diminishing numbers as well. Those that are still interested in choosing a department have to choose for surrounding county agencies that have better salaries and benefits. So they display this package with a nice pretty bow on it where we're stuck a little bit behind them with being competitive. Experienced officers are leaving our departments, our countywide departments, and going to these surrounding county agencies due to the better benefits and salaries. And unfortunately, we have little to no applicants to replace them. So this is where we're falling behind. This is where the manpower issues are coming from. And it's difficult to recruit these new officers with this comparing to the surrounding agencies. So I was looking at the roster the other day. Just yesterday, I was looking at the roster. We're a department of 43 right now, and we have 20 of our officers have 2 years or less. That's a bad number. It's a bad ratio there. We also have officers that are 3 years on or younger training our new recruit officers coming in. What kind of product do you think comes out of that? I mean, and it's no fault of their own. It's just lack of experience. Let's put it this way. Let's put you in a situation where an officer gets called to a call. What's an important call to you? It's a serious call, possibly life-altering, changing, whatever. And would you rather have a rookie show up and do him to the best that he can and no fault of his own, guess the situation, guess the best call he can? Or would you want an experienced officer to show up and be able to handle it like it should be? This is more of a county problem than a city problem. I've heard that comment, and that irritates me to hear that, because people, and I could see maybe it's being brought that way because Mayor Tom Dermody is heading this proposal up. But it is a countywide problem. It affects Michigan City, LaPorte County Sheriff's Office, LaPorte Police Department, Trail Creek, Long Beach, Kingsford Heights, Westville. And not just police, EMS and fire as well. EMS is having to respond from neighboring cities within the county due to the area rig being tied up. So that adds to the response time. I would hate to be the guy to say who lives in Mill Creek having a stroke and a heart attack and having to have the EMS rig respond from Michigan City because the area EMS is tied up with another call. I wouldn't want that. And I wouldn't expect anybody to want that. What about having somebody doing damage to your property and you catch them? You call the police. Their response time is 20 minutes because they're already tied up on calls that they can't clear. And all you can do is watch the suspects that just did damage to your property walk away. And before the police get there, they're gone. It's a helpless feeling. One of the misconceptions of local income tax is that it's a property tax. I've heard this too. It's not. It's an income tax. An income tax that people who live off Social Security do not have to pay into. What is being proposed is 0.5% of local income tax increase, which can only go toward public safety. LaPorte County's current local income tax is less than 1%. It's at 0.95. 0.5% increase would take it to 1.45, which is still 20% lower than the state average being 1.78. The surrounding counties, and our immediate surrounding counties, is what we're comparing to. St. Joe's at 1.75. Stark County's at 1.71. Pulaski's at 2.85. This is probably how they're going to afford to pay their first responders better benefits and salaries. The proposal, again, is 1.45, which is still lower than them, and, like I said, the state average. 71 out of 92 counties in Indiana have already passed local income tax and had benefited for their public safety. This is a tool that the state of Indiana has given our local elected officials to use. This proposal will cost someone who makes $25,000 a year only $2.60 a week. $2.60 a week to help with manpower issues with EMS, police, and fire. More manpower equals quicker response times, ability to obtain first responders to keep them and keep that experience and professionalism, and help the first responders to be outfitted with the best equipment to do so. $2.60 a week should not be a question in place of your family's and community's safety. It should be a peace of mind.
All right, thank you. Now, did you also have a statement, Mike?
Well, I'm more of a wing it type of fella, but
yeah, go ahead and talk a little bit about how it's impacting fire.
Yeah, of course. First of all, just thanks for having us on the show. It's
no problem.
It's amazing.
Hey, I think honestly, the last time I saw you, you were at a wiffle ball tournament, and I think the fire were annihilating the police.
We don't want to talk about that.
So, though, hey, the Michigan City fire ended up beating the LaPorte fire. So
yeah, we were happy about that.
About that. Yeah. So obviously, we need to do some more recruitment as well for the wiffle ball tournaments.
Yeah,
right?
Of course. Yeah, exactly. We got some ringers out there. We're going to be opening up our applications pretty soon. So if you know how to play wiffle ball, come on down.
So Mike, talk to me a little bit about what's happening with the fire department then.
Well, similar things are happening to the fire department. We're not losing as many guys, but with the personnel that we have, every time I talk to a different department, they're surprised at the minimal amount of personnel that we have on scene every time. We do a great job with what we have, but this local income tax isn't about wages going up. It's not about making sure that we're taken care of, because we are taken care of it. And really, I can't stress enough how much we appreciate the community's backing. We never, ever feel like the community's not backing us. And we know that, taxes pay our revenue or taxes pay our salaries, and we love doing our job. But in the same respect, nobody ever really becomes a firefighter, policeman, EMT, any public safety because of the pay. We have a calling, And so, and the guys that have left because they haven't been able to pay bills that they need to pay, you see a teardrop in their eye when they leave. It's not that they want to go somewhere else. It's not that they want to go to the private sector, but sometimes they're just not able to, continue on with what's going on. And so, pay, wages, it's one thing, but moreover, you want to make sure that you have personnel that can back you up. Make sure that, we see some pretty wild things out there. If you're doing a CPR on a premature baby in the back of an ambulance, you want to make sure that you have all the personnel to make sure that you're taking care of that baby and you're taking care of that mother. That's taking rigs out of that's taking rigs out of service. That's taking ambulances out of service. That's taking personnel out of service. So when you think about that in the larger scheme of this county being this big, beautiful county, we are so lucky to have as much space, as much people as we do, but there's a lot of running from one corner to the other. If you're these phenomenal EMS, LaPorte County EMS, they're running from one side of the county to the other. That's a big problem. If there's a bunch of ambulances being taken out, that's a big problem.
And I know they've been hurt probably more than any of the three. I mean, they just seem to have a lot of people leaving EMS as well. Now, you guys have both said this, and I think it's important to say this isn't just about wages, right? This is about support as well, about cultural support, these kind of things. Though wages is part of that. I do want to talk real briefly, because I'm not actually aware of this, and I think it'd be helpful to know. What is the starting wage of a firefighter in LaPorte? In the city of LaPorte. Do you know that? Starting
wage was, I believe it was 43. Yep. Yeah. And then up to recently with the new package that we've gotten, it's at 58 right now, which is right on average with all the surrounding areas to a little bit below. Of course, now, thank God we were able to use some funding, that we'd gotten to support us in the short term, but we need actual funding to support us in the long term, and not just us, the county and the city.
I was listening to the council meeting, and Sheriff John Boyd had mentioned, and he was on there, and he's in favor of this as well, from what I understand, is he was mentioning that they did essentially opened up for applicants, and at the time that the council meeting was anyway, they hadn't received any applicants for this job, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And as far as LaPorte City too, we're sitting on 0 applicants at the moment as well. Same thing.
So, and with police and everything, from what I understand is you might have 50 applicants, but by the time you whittle it down by the emotional test and the physical acuity, these kind of things, you might only have 4 or 5 good applicants out of that list of candidates. So if you only have 4 or 5 apply in total, you might not even have a good applicant in there, correct?
Correct. Yep. And like I said, 14 years ago, there was 30 people that would apply, which would obviously give us a lot more to choose from and be able to benefit from testing them and everything. Whereas now that we're 8 to 9, and the majority of them, maybe 1 or 2 will pass.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna take our first break of the day and then get to your calls. If you've been calling or you're on hold, we'll get to you right after this break. The Liquor Vault on-air line is 219-362-0522. We're talking about the lit tax with our local fire department and police department union chiefs. If you've got a question or a comment, please do give us a call, 219-362-0522. We're going to take a break and be right back right after this.
Ben Conowitz here, LaPorte Seamless Gutter, 219-362-9972. Fall is here, and that means leaves and debris for your gutter system. We've got 3 separate types of gutter guard for your home. Leaves and debris come in all shapes and sizes. We don't need a one-size-fits-all for your gutter. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 219-362-9972, or you can visit us on the web, www.lpseamless.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garden International Circus presents the Shrine Circus, coming to your hometown. This stunning 2-hour event includes aerialists, acrobats, daredevils, and of course, elephants. Be sure to come 1 hour before showtime to enjoy the pre-show activities. See you at the Shrine Circus.
Returning February 8th and 9th to the LaPorte Civic Auditorium. Visit spectacularcircus.com for times, tickets, and discount offers.
Buying a new vehicle is a big decision. I don't want to feel forgotten the minute I leave the dealership. But at Michigan City Hyundai, they put people first, making my entire buying experience better. I browsed online, then went in store to look at the new 2022 Tucson. Finally, I purchased with everything I needed and left confidently.
Get even more coverage with Hyundai Assurance and America's best 10-year or 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Visit MichiganCityHyundai.com.
You're going to like buying a car this way.
When it comes to school delays and closings, you can always count on 96.7 The Eagle for fast, dependable, and accurate updates. Whether it's on the air, online, or social media, we keep you up to date whenever there is a closing or delay of the area schools. Closings and delays are brought to you by these fine sponsors:
Flanagan Tire, Harmon E-Pools, Melt Kitchen, LaPorte Community Federal Credit Union, Milmar Buildings, Frank L. Kazai Funeral Home, Estlin Chapel, Swanson Center, Allstate Prendergast Agency, and Castle Ford of Michigan City.
For the latest in closings and delays, turn on your source for news, weather, and local information. 96.7 The Eagle.
We're waiting to hear from you. Dial or text 362-0522 and let us know what you think. That's 362-0522. Back to Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
Welcome back to the show today. Glad to have you with us. Glad to have you listening, whether you're listening online or on the radio or on Facebook Live. We're just glad to have you. With us today in the studio is Matt Drangmeister from the LaPorte County PD and the head of the union there, and Mike Mulcrone, who's LaPorte, our city fire department. Sorry, these are both city officer and city firefighter. And they're the head of their unions, respectively. I know you do have to correct something, though, that you said already.
Oh, yeah.
Correcting something on the air is a bit of a skill of mine now. So go ahead.
All right. Well, you can judge me on this one because I'm sure everybody else is. Yeah. But apparently I gave ourselves a little bit of a raise. Our starting salary is $50,000. And that goes for police.
So was the city panicking when you promised more money than was actually, a little bit?
Exactly. Right. I was excited. I thought he was telling me something I didn't know.
Yeah, right? Everyone was getting raises that you didn't know about.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So if you've got a question or a comment about this lit tax and for our fire and police department, the Liquor Vault on-air line is 219-362-0522. Let's get to some callers. Hey, thanks so much for calling. Thanks for waiting on the line. What's your comment?
Question for since you got the guys there.
Yep.
This guy always blowing smoke about it's a county issue. It really grinds my gears. And I'd like to ask the firefighter union president, if you guys get a car accident and you got to cut out a mother, a father, and 2 children, do you ID them first and ask them if they live in the city or the county?
No, of course not. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
My next question is, if you don't do that, the fire truck, the guys you pay for, what does the city charge that county resident? Like $300-400 for that service?
Oh, we don't charge anything for that service. It's free of service. It's a free service. Whoever's coming through town, whoever's in our district, we're going to make sure that we provide them the best service possible. That's part of why we love our job so much. We don't discriminate against anybody, city, county, anything. But there are a lot of people from the county that come into the city every day, and we love working with them just as much as we love working with everybody else. We love smiling, shaking hands with everybody. We don't have any problem with anybody.
So as a county, I would say I think you would agree that we're all in this together. And as a city taxpayer, I pay county tax on my property tax. So, I don't know why we're discriminating and trying to divide. One other quick comment I only got 3 minutes.
Yep.
No one's talked about all these volunteer fire departments. Granted, they're not paying a lot for their people, but you know what they need? Equipment. They're giving these guys, I want to say, like $10,000 a year from the ARC fund, which only lasts 2 years. The amount of money the county gets is going to buy them guys vital equipment that they can use to protect themselves, protect people's property, and protect people. And if a couple dollars a week is what it would cost someone that makes $25,000, and these council members don't think your life, your property, or your first responders are worth $2 a week, get rid of them. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much for calling. I appreciate it. Again, I do want to say we've got about 2 minutes just because we've got a lot of calls. We're going to limit you to 2 minutes, and then we'll fade you out. But let's get to another caller. Hey, thanks so much for waiting on the line. Thanks for calling. What's your comment or question for Officer Drangmeister or Firefighter Mulcrone?
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on. First of all, I'd like to say exactly what I said at both council meetings and on the radio. The city came forward with this, and I also stated The county has kicked this can down the road for years, and it needs to be addressed. Nowhere in my statement did I ever say the county is not involved in this. So I had a very interesting conversation with Mayor Dermody and Chief Paul Britton. They laid out what their thoughts were on this. I laid out my thoughts, why my concern is LaPorte County is already overtaxed. It's unbelievable. We're a shrinking population. Their poverty rate is high. No one is saying we don't support you if we don't support this lit tax. But people like me and others have laid out a whole half dozen or more ideas that the county can shrink their government to find funding for you guys. And then maybe if they would do that, you could come by with less of a tax. But for you guys to make demands, it sounds eerily similar. When I was a steward, and I was also on a bargaining committee for a contract once, probably it's been over 30, close to 35 years ago. So a lot of businesses ran out of business because wages got higher. You're talking about raising these wages, which you already have. I don't have a problem with you guys making money. That's not the issue. But you guys need to look. You say no one's applying for these jobs. So does that mean we have to raise the wages higher and raise the tax higher? Other counties have an industrial base. We do not in this county. So I think if you guys come forth with some good faith effort to look to your elected and say, we need to cut the size of the county government, and the biggest determination of that is what's essential and what's non-essential. Businesses do that every day, and so do homeowners. Thank you.
Thanks so much for calling. Any comments to that?
Thank you. Yeah, first of all, we're never demanding anything. We want to make sure that that is not the case. We're requesting, and we know that it is a big request, but we appreciate the community support. A lot of times they're coming in, or people are coming in with different ideas how to gain different money from different avenues. Like they're saying, go downstate and ask all the counties to make sure that they give us money, for funding through the $5 billion. But to request that without doing your due diligence, without utilizing the tools that the state has given us to allow us to pull us up by our own bootstraps and making sure that we're not asking, we don't want to ask the rest of the state for a handout. We want to utilize the tools and make sure that we're the LaPorte County hardworking people that work for themselves, utilize their own tools like this local income tax, and make sure that they're not going to be able to they're not going to give us money unless we allow ourselves to find sources of money.
And I do think, and we've talked about this on the show before, there is an incongruency for the state. Our legislators, for instance, our local legislators are down in Indianapolis right now talking about potential tax cuts. And so it is incongruent for a lot of taxpayers to say, well, why are we cutting in one area and not in others, and then trying to raise in others? And so I think if all levels of government would get on the same page with some of these things, it would probably help the taxpayers understand what's going on. Let's get to another caller. Hey, thanks so much. Thanks so much for calling. I appreciate it. You're on the show right now. What's your question for the officer and firefighter?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on.
Nate, is that me?
Yep, that's you.
Okay. I don't want to be discriminatory on this or a bad guy, but I'm 80 years old. I'm an old timer. And I just wonder when, this is a question for after my comment, when did the EMS come about? In my day of growing up, and I only seen one guy bleed to death, had his arm tore off by a corn picker out by us, and this was in the 50s.
That'll scar you.
The only ambulances we had, there was an old Packard out at Kingsford Union, and Haverstocks had an ambulance. That's just how I want to see if you know when the EMS came about. It wasn't in the 50s, I'm sure. And you know what? 99% of us are all still here. I don't know what we've come to. And if another comment is this essential people. The last couple of days I listened to the radio, and when they say the county, not the county workers like the snowplow drivers or anything, but the county complex is closed. City Hall is closed. You know what that tells us old timers that used to kind of grew up with nothing? Those people are not essential. If you can get along 2 days without them, they're not needed. You see what I'm saying? They've got a warm building to work in and keep things together. How did they catch up after going home for what reason when the nurses in the hospital didn't go home? Then they talk about essential workers. They're non-essential in my book. Now, the firefighters, you guys manned the station and everything, right? You didn't go home. So explain that to me a little bit. But I would like to know the statistics about how...
All right, thanks so much. Do you guys want to comment a little bit on that? Obviously, with, there are some, my wife's a nurse, she had to work during the storm, but I also know that when the police and everyone says don't get on the roads, and if I can work from home, I'm going to work from home if I can, correct? So you have any other comments on that?
I mean, city offices may close, but obviously first responders can't. We can't say we want to take a day off as well. I mean, we can, but we can't do it.
You can say all that you want, right?
As far as like prior EMS back in the 60s, what he was talking about, I mean, LaPorte County's population kind of boomed quite a bit, so there's more of a need for that type of service. So, I mean, I can understand where he's coming from, but there was a lot less population then and a lot less hazards. Whereas now we're faced with a little bit quicker vehicles and just a lot more potential for EMS or injury that could have EMS to respond.
Yeah. All right, let's get to another caller before break. Hey, thanks so much for waiting on the line. Thanks for calling the show. What's your question?
So I have a couple things to throw in here. This lit tax is only for income based on the working citizen in LaPorte County. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So the old timers aren't going to have any of their Social Security checks.
That is correct. It does not affect anybody that's drawing Social Security.
And I'm glad you asked that because that's often, I've heard that's different, but thank you so much for asking that because that's a good point.
So then the other thing, Mayor Tommy Boy wants to increase the tax or add it 0.50%. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Some of the other counties have it upwards of over 2%. Is that correct?
That is correct. Like Pulaski County's at 2.8.
Damn, I'm good. So then I also believe that 80 out of 92 counties in the state have this tax.
71 out of 92.
How many?
71 out of 92 counties.
Shoot.
Well, no. Actually, you're not too wrong. 71 out of 92 have a safety lit, but there are other counties that have a lit tax. But you can divide the lit into different reasons, and safety is one of them. And so other counties do have. I think every county has a lit tax. Honestly, not every county has a safety lit tax.
Okay, so I will keep moving though, because the other thing is, I own just a little bit of property in LaPorte, a little bit more than most. And the firemen always treat me real well, and so do the police. And they're always right there whenever I need them. And I know you guys bust your ass every day, but I do know I've been here almost 50 years, raising hell in this community. And back in the day, a guy like Al Ott would grab a hold of me and straighten me right up. But I know you can't do that anymore. But I also do know that I've noticed I don't know a lot of these young officers anymore. Can you tell me a little bit why that is?
Well, it's because our experienced officers are leaving and transferring, and our department, and even like the LaPorte County Sheriff's Department and Michigan City, they're being used as a stepping stone. So we'll hire these officers in hopes that they'd stay, and they'll stay for a year or two, and then transfer and go to another department, like Chesterton, South Bend, just to name a few real quick. But yeah, like I have a hard time sometimes remembering the names of my own officers on my own department, let alone I look at LaPorte County. I don't even know. I couldn't even guess their name at the moment.
A tip for you is just go with the fella or champ. Yep. Champ or fella. Yep. All right. Well, we're going to take a break here on the show. If you've got a question or you want to talk a little bit more about the lit tax, the Liquor Vault on-air line is 219-362-0522. You're welcome to call us. We've got about 15 minutes left on the show, and we're going to take a quick break. Keep listening to 96.7 The Eagle.
Car problems often strike at the absolute worst times, but you can rest well knowing that Cannon's Automotive Service is here for you and dedicated to get you back on the road with prompt, efficient, same-day service. The same Cannon's commitment that LaPorte has trusted for over 50 years. Cannon's Automotive Service, now with 2 locations, 710 Tyler Street and 909 Boyd Boulevard.
We're Cannon's Automotive. We fix everything.
No job is too big or too small. Auto body specialties, we do it all. Quality's #1 in auto body repair. To get fixed up, you know where. Foreign or domestic, we're your local shop. All work guaranteed, but we're hard to top. No job is too big or too small. Auto body specialties, we do it all.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the pilot speaking. We'll be landing soon at LaPorte Airport. If you look out the right side of the plane, you'll see Pine Lake. Off to the left is the Civic Auditorium. And up ahead, all that traffic you see is headed to LaPorte Chrysler Dodge and Jeep at 1309 Pine Lake Avenue. LaPorte Chrysler Dodge and Jeep, fully stocked with new and late model cars, trucks, minivans, and SUVs. And for more information on the cars on the lot, call 326-6850 or hit your flight attendant call button now.
Hey, who's hungry? Because I've got a deal for you. Dennis Adele here to introduce you something new to the Morning Mayhem. Every weekday at 6:55, it's Denny's Diner. Yep, Joe and I will cook up some trivia questions, and if you have the correct answer, you'll be the winner of a $20 gift card from either JJ's Side Out Bar and Grill, the Burger Bar and Grill, JJ's Pizza Shack, Wanna Pizza, or Nowhere Bar and Grill. So join us weekdays for Denny's Diner at 6:55 on the Morning Mayhem for your chance to win here on 96.7 The Eagle.
Your forecast on 96.7 The Eagle brought to you by Harmon Expert Auto Service. If you're looking for a local and quality auto repair company, then look no further than Harmon Expert Auto with 2 locations in LaPorte, 308 Washington or 111 Brighton Streets. Visit their website at harmonexpertautoservice.com or call 325-0444.
Michiana weather.
High of 20 this afternoon under mainly cloudy skies, southwesterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Cloudy skies tonight, snow showers likely at times 7 above. From the Weather Center at HometownNewsNow.com. Right now, 18.
Your opinion matters. We invite you to share it by calling or texting the Liquor Ball on-air line at 362-0522. That's 362-0522. Now, back to Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
Welcome back, friends, to our final segment of Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle. My name is Nate Laux, and with us on the show today, we've got crime fighter and police union chief Matt Drangmeister, and fire whisperer and fire union president Mike Mulcrone. I won't give you the chief tag yet. But let's get to some callers. Hey, thanks for waiting on the line. Thanks for calling. What's your question for Matt and Mike?
Oh, hi, Nate and Matt and Mike and Fire and Police. Thank you for your service. This is Tommy Kolavic. You said it's an income tax. What if somebody resides outside LaPorte County, but they work inside LaPorte County? Are they subject to having to pay the new tax, too?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, I really feel that's not needed. Here in Michigan City, we got a brand new $30 million police station they put up on Michigan Boulevard, and they got 2 pretty much brand new $1 million fire trucks that they bought. We just leased new fire stations, and I think we're just fine here, so I don't think that should be put on. Thank you.
Michigan City has some other sources of funds too, correct?
Correct. Yeah, they have the casino, and but that's going to get pretty tight pretty soon, maybe. So you can't rely on outside sources. You have to rely on yourself. You have to make sure that as a community, we're relying on ourselves and not putting too many eggs in one basket. This is a diversification of those eggs. They're going in multiple baskets, and through that, yeah, of course, there's going to be new purchases for these apparatuses that we use, because they get used quite a bit. They get ridden hard and put away,
and none of them are cheap.
No, and that's the other thing. Everybody knows, all the people that are selling to us know that they throw those extra little words fire or police on it, and they're going to get a bunch more money, but everyone does it. So you're not going to get around finding cheaper ways to get around things without not providing the services that we provide. And on top of that, we are giving back. The county's giving back. Is it $32 million, right, Matt?
Yeah, $32 million.
Yeah, they're giving back $32 million to homeowners, through those stop gaps and those circuit breaker taxes on property taxes. Now they're coming up with trying to make businesses pay a little bit less tax so they can attract a few more people. Well, that's got to be made up somewhere, and it's unfortunate that downstate is really putting a vice on us, but we need to make sure that we are protecting ourselves, making sure that we have public safety in the priority,
All right, let's get to another caller. Hey, thanks so much for calling Sound Off. Thanks for listening. What's your question for Matt and Mike?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say to both of these gentlemen, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
One thing that people don't take into account, one of the other callers mentioned about being essential and non-essential workers. When you go to work in your capacity, and weather becomes bad, you don't know when you'll be home again. I know how that is. I was in public service myself, and what should have been an 8-hour tour of duty could turn into 32 hours, 24 hours pretty easy, because if your relief can't get in, you don't go home. Mm-hmm. But anyhow, what my question really is, and I think one of the prior callers may have responded to this, the township fire departments, will they benefit at all, like, say, Springfield or Kankakee Valley? Do they stand to see any of these funds come their way?
It's a good question, and one I know that Lisa Pierzakowski was interested in as well is, do any of the townships, especially obviously the fire departments, do they benefit from this lit tax at all?
Yeah, of course. The LaPorte County obviously is a big one. Then cities go next: Michigan City, LaPorte City. After that, Kingsbury, Kingsford Heights, La Crosse, Long Beach, Michiana, Shores, Pottawatomie Park, Trail Creek, Wanata, and Westville all benefit from this. This is all percentages that they're getting back to make sure that their community is safe too. This isn't just about the city. This isn't just about our city. This isn't just about Michigan City. This is about the county and making sure that everyone in the county is safe and protected. And in order to do that, they need to make sure that we have the personnel and equipment.
All right, let's get to another caller. Hey, thanks so much for calling the show. I appreciate it. What's your question for Mike and Matt?
Hey, Nate, thanks for taking my call. Liven up a little bit there, buddy. And, the state of Indiana, the legislatures and senators are working on legislation as we speak. It looks like it may pass on this spring session or the fall session, that these individual municipalities, such as the city of LaPorte, they can invoke and pass their own tax, as you're asking our county to do for you. Instead of us being your stepchildren and stepping all over us and bringing up every excuse you can to pass this tax and create more burdens on us and take money out of our paychecks that we don't have to spare because of the flunky we have in office upstairs in the White House on inflation. Your state, our state, great state of Indiana, if you just wait a few months, you're going to be allowed and it'll be permissible to tax whoever you want to do in your own municipality. So this crow squawking all over the place is just unbelievable. You guys are putting nothing but pain on us. And your big thing, you're dealing with what you're not bringing out is the fentanyl, the synthetic illegal drugs. That's your biggest problem. Let's face the facts here. You haven't had a problem until this darn drug has been pushed over the border, better than cold medicine and flu medicine. And you look at the stats, and that's your biggest problem. So it's not only that you need more help in this area. This is what the pushback is when you have these drug addicts running around freely from the old, the middle-aged, and the young, and all the dropouts out of school. This is why we're dealing with a major epidemic here that we're not getting any help with. So if you just wait a few months and let the state pass the bills and raise your own taxes, we're not going to have a in-law Hatfield and McCoy fight here, guys. And this is what you're creating. You're creating a battle that we don't want, and we're not going to give in, and we're not going to give it to you.
All right. Well, thanks for calling. That legislation you're talking about, there's no guarantee that it's going to pass. And actually, many legislators do not like that legislation. So maybe it will pass. I don't know. I've not asked our local legislators, and I'll follow up with them on that. But again, there's no indication that legislation is going to pass. I do want to add that, but you can then talk to some of these other things. And Matt,
I wanted to touch on again, like the volunteer fire departments and the townships. needing the money that goes towards them. Yes, they do have access to this money, and all they have to do is approach the county and ask for it. And then also we don't want to wait for something that may pass and kick the can down the road further. This is a problem we're seeing now, and when we lose people, it's hard to replace them. So if we wait longer, it's just that much harder, that much farther we fall behind. So I don't feel it'd be comfortable to sit and wait just for a maybe.
Yeah,
of course.
And the comments about fentanyl and things like this, it helps, I'm sure, when you have a full, well-trained team, correct?
Right, yeah. I mean, when I first started, there was nothing like this. I mean, fentanyl, there's all these new drugs that come out that, like synthetic marijuana kind of came out and about during my career so far, and fentanyl, and it's just ever-changing. Crocodile, or I can't remember what that drug was that came out for a little bit, but then bath salts was another one. I mean, it's forever changing, so we have to stay on top of what's changing, what's safe, how to handle it, and all that. So, yeah, it takes training, which takes money, and it takes manpower to take control of these situations.
Yep. And, when you're Narcan and a kid that didn't know any better, and you're sitting there on the scene with police and you don't know how to address this subject because it is such a wide subject that is hitting our city, our county, our nation. A lot of this money can be utilized towards programs and towards policing and towards medically trained professionals that can make sure that these people get the help that they need. Because a lot of times, you see a teenager doing this and they don't know any better. They're just young and, think that they're untouchable. And it's touching everybody. It's making sure that
All right. Well, we got just about a minute left. I'll give you guys the final word. Mike, what do you want our listeners to know?
I want to make sure that everybody knows that we are truly appreciative. I never, ever would want to create any difference between the county and the city. I live out in the county. It's us. It's not us versus anybody else. And so I want to make sure that they know that everybody knows that we have the best interests of everybody's safety and everybody's health in mind when we're requesting that this passes.
Matt, I'll give you a final word. What do you want our listeners to know?
And I've said this from the beginning. It is a major county-wide problem. We all work together. So with Michigan City falling behind, and I believe they're leading right now as far as the officers that they do not have, and with LaPorte County and LaPorte City, when they all fall behind, we all do, because we all work together. And then the same with fire and EMS. So first responders, yeah, we have our different entities, but when we all fall behind with manpower, we all kind of suffer. And it's to better serve the community, we need to be competitive and be able to stay fully staffed.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming on the show and talking about this. Obviously, there's lots of opinions on this, and this conversation will continue with the county council, county commissioners, these kind of things. And we'll continue to follow it here on Sound Off and have those conversations. Hey, on Monday, we'll have another topic day. We'll talk about something. I'm not sure yet, but we'll certainly do that. If you tried to text into us today, our text line is down. I'm sorry. It was not that we were ignoring you. We just could not see any text today because the text line is down. We'll hopefully have that fixed as well. Hey, I want to thank you so much for listening, being a part of this community conversation. It's good to listen and learn from each other. It's good to talk like this civilly and things like that. Be good to yourself, be good to others. Keep listening to 96.7 The Eagle.
Thank you for joining us. And